and our sports show. This is episode 817. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Chris Sanders. He's a former track star back in the day, and he's a former NFL wide receiver. He played for the Houston Oilers and also Tennessee Titans. And he played for college football in Ohio State, and now he covers the NFL. And this is a really truly an honor for him to be joining the show today. Thank you, Chris, for joining. And how are you and your family doing?
And I'm doing good. Okay, we got to start this interview all over. You said Ohio State is the Ohio State University?
Oh.
Yeah, man, it's good to be on the show, man, talk some football. It's been really crazy down here, in Tennessee, with the sign of Julio Jones. So the hoopla's been going, kind of wild. It's funny because, I don't get really starstruck. I seen Kobe, I seen Shaq and those guys. I never bought their jersey. But I think I'm going to go get a Julio Jones jersey because it's going that crazy down here in Tennessee.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to get to the trade, but I want to start off with your career because you had an interesting career when you were younger, and I want to start with your childhood growing up. And when did you start realizing that you wanted to play sports? And obviously you did track, but other than track and football, did you play any other sports growing up? And who was your role model?
Okay, you're going to laugh at me. I wrestled, not wrestle, but I wrestled. I weighed like 112 pounds. I mean, trying to wrestle and looking gross in my singlet. That's another sport that I did. And also I did track and I did football. And I just think it's good for young kids to understand that if you do multiple sports, it can help you be better in these sports. So, my dominant sport was football, but I ran track and I did wrestling, and it propelled me to help me be, good in everything that I like to do. You asked that question, when did I realize that I had a chance to make it to the NFL? I really didn't. I had a dream when I was young. I remember when I was a young kid, I would play with this sock and I would visualize myself catching the ball and say, okay, this is me making, a catch in the NFL. True story. In 1995, we were playing the Cincinnati Bengals. The same way I was holding my hands to catch the sock was the same way I was holding to catch my first touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's when I realized that I'm in the NFL.
So, do you have any like role models that you look up to?
Oh yeah, Louis Lips. I remember Louis Lips used to play with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just they're mean, and every time I played against them, I got hurt. So I don't like those guys. But like Louis Lips, Lynn Swan. I grew up, a John Elway fan because I'm from Denver, Colorado. And a true story, I remember I think it was 1995, my rookie season. I always wanted to play against John Elway. I grew up watching John Elway. I remember the year they made that 99-yard comeback or 99-yard drive to win the game against the Cleveland Browns. So in my mind, I'm like, I want to play against John Elway. I wish it would happen. In 1995, that dream that I have, I played against him when he was playing against the Denver Broncos, and I was with the Houston Oilers, and that was the best game that I had my whole career against the Denver Broncos.
Man. So I want to ask you about your track career, and obviously, would you say that helped you become the receiver that you were in the NFL?
It helped my speed. I mean, it helped my speed big time. It helped me. I was quick in the 40, but it helped me in that top end speed. And I did some pretty good things in high school track, and then I ran track at the Ohio State University. I'm not bragging or anything, but this is kind of what happened in 1989-90. I broke the all-time record in Colorado in long jump. I actually put it on my Instagram page today.
Yeah, I saw that post.
And it was 24/7. I jumped 24/7 indoor. I mean, not indoors, 24/7. In Colorado, and that record still stands to this day. So I'm kind of thankful for that. And then I ran track at the Ohio State University. And this is a true story. I remember in 1992, I was watching a documentary on Jesse Owens, just talking about his life in the 1936 Berlin Olympics, how he had to go through trials and tribulations, and he won 4 gold medals. The next day, I jumped at a track meet called the Iowa Cyclone Classic. And I'm warming up, and my coach is like, man, you look really fast today. You look pretty good, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever, coach. Go over there and sit down and let me go ahead and jump. So I do my long jump, and I jump, and the crowd goes crazy. And I'm like, why are they going crazy? I see my coach sprint down, and he said, you know what you just did? I said, what I do? He said, you just broke Jesse Owens' long jump record indoors. And I was like, whoa. And I just watched this story the night before. So that was a great honor to break a Legends record.
Yeah, speaking of that, before we get to that, I want to ask you, not only you did track before, really a former NFL player, he did track. And what's it like seeing your former NFL athletes or before they play in the NFL doing track before doing like former NFL athletes or that are trying to do track or who did track before going into the NFL?
I think it's awesome because just like what it helps you so much, and it helps you in different areas. And the one area that it helped me in is it gave me that top end speed. Sometimes when I was at the Ohio State University, they really did want me to run track,
Yeah.
but I had to run track because at the time we had 6 or 7 guys that were ranked in the world. I mean, we were ranked in the world. And that year before that, the last time that Ohio State won a Big Ten championship is when Jesse Owens was there. And that year from 92 to 95, we won 3 Big Ten championships. So I had to run track. I didn't want to leave them, but it just helped me get better on my top end speed. It helped me with my quickness, and it just helped me with my acceleration. So when you have guys in the NFL that's running track before they got to the NFL, you see those guys more faster, kind of like a Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson ran track in college, and that's why he was so successful in running the 40, but also in longer distance when he's running the football.
Yeah, so this is a two-part question. So take me back to the race when you broke Jesse Owens' record, and what was in your mindset before you started that race? And once you broke the record, what went through your mind?
I always focus when I'm on the track. I was just focused. I didn't do anything different. I just felt it felt different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even when I warmed up in different track meets, this track meet felt different because when I was running down the runway, I was going extremely fast.
Right.
And once I hit that jump, I mean, it was like, whoa. And then, my coach ran down there and told me what I did. It was one of those feelings that are unexplainable. I mean, it's just unexplainable because I just watched his, documentary yesterday in my hotel, and to break his record and to break a legend's record and watch him overcome so many things and have an opportunity to be in the same classification as Jesse Owens. I mean, it's a record that I hope nobody ever breaks. And funny story, about two and a half years ago, there was a kid that almost broke it, and I was going to go to the NCAA championships and trip him so he wouldn't break it. That's how I want them never to break that record.
Oh wow! Yeah. So transitioning now after track and after you're getting all those records, and so when did you really start getting into football, and what was your process learning the game of football?
Yeah, the process was a little tough coming into the Ohio State University because the first year I had to sit up because I was Prop 48. Prop 48 is when your ACT score is low, so I didn't really play that year. Then the next year I come back and I played like one game, and then I hurt my knee. And then my junior year I played okay. I caught like 30 some balls, and I still haven't had a touchdown. But then I come to my senior year, and I didn't really play that much the first game, and then the second game I played against Houston, scored a touchdown. Against Minnesota, I scored 2 touchdowns. Purdue scored to get 2 touchdowns. So it propelled me to put myself in position to make it in the NFL. So the process was a little hard at first, but it was very rewarding. I just stuck with the process and said, you know what, regardless of what's going on, regardless of my setback, it was a setup for something great. And that's why I'm glad that I played football.
Did you get any other offers before choosing Ohio State? And what was the recruiting process with Ohio State? The Ohio State, sorry.
It's funny because right now you can just shoot an email over and they can see your video. Yeah. Now I had to send a big old VHS tape. When it's like kids don't even know what that is. But I got recruited by Purdue, Arizona State, Arizona, by a lot of teams. And it's funny because I got recruited more defensive back than I did wide receiver because my senior year playing cornerback, I had like 13 interceptions. And I thought I was a better cornerback than receiver. But when I got to the Ohio State University, they kept me a receiver because they understood that, I can make some plays. And, the recruiting process was fun. Some people look at it as a burden, but it's really not. And the reason why I went to the Ohio State University is because my head coach had a cousin that was a wide receiver coach for Ohio State. And he gave him a call and said, okay, you need to check out this kid called Chris Sanders. So he came down, he watched me, and he saw me jump and run. He said, okay, I want him to be a Buckeye, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so explain your experience at the Ohio State, obviously a great college. They always compete. And what was your experience like there? And obviously you said they recruited you as a defensive back, and did you get to play defensive back and then play multiple positions before settling on receiver?
I was scared.
Okay.
Because now I'm coming in, and because in your city you think you're the best player, but then I get there and you start seeing like a Jeff Cochran. You see Joey Galloway. You see Terry Glenn. You see all these guys. Like, man, I thought I was pretty good, and they were better. I mean, just like Joey Galloway is probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Strong, fast, physical, and could run routes. So when I came in, I was still a little raw, understanding how to run routes, understanding how to beat double coverage, understanding how to actually hone in my skills to be a great wide receiver. So, it was tough. The transition was a little tough, but once I understood and once, I knew that I could play at this next level, then that's when I took off. And I think I really learned a lot through a guy named Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit, we played in 1992.
Oh.
And Kirk Herbstreit, I have so much respect for him. The reason why I have so much respect for him because he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the fastest, he didn't have the strongest arm, but he was a winner. I watched that year, I think it was in 1992. We were 1993 or 92, one of those. It was when Syracuse was ranked number 4 in the country.
Wow.
And we were just kind of struggling a little bit. And this was his first start. And I watched him take a team that wasn't very good that year, and we went down to Syracuse in their place and beat them because of Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah. So speaking of, what was it like playing with him? And obviously, he's doing great things on college game day, covers the game well. And what was it like being his teammate?
Man, he makes everybody better. We always talk about leadership is running around screaming at people and yelling. That's not leadership. Leadership is making everybody around you better. And that's exactly what he is. I remember that same year where we beat Syracuse, the year before we were playing the Minnesota Gophers. What the heck is a Gopher? Minnesota Gopher. I mean, that doesn't even sound scary. Minnesota Gopher. And we're playing them. And he comes in the game. This is kind of like, a quarter left in the game. And just imagine, Kirk Herbstreit, not imagine, he did. He probably ran like a 6.7 in the 40-yard dash. I mean, he was that slow. I mean, it just wasn't fast.
Yeah.
But you look up and he's running an 89-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it took 8 days to get there.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys. He reminds me of Tim Tebow. That's just a winner. And when you're around a guy like that, that is a winner. He just makes everybody around you better.
So obviously now I want to get to your draft experience. You got drafted in 1995, round 3, pick 67. What was that like? And obviously waiting with your family, waiting for your name to get called. And what was the call like with the Houston Oilers when they drafted you?
It was wild. I mean, it was funny because I thought I was going at the end of the second round because they said my name. So, I was like, yeah, I'm about to get drafted. Then, a couple of picks went by. And it was funny because, when you get drafted, they walk up to the podium and they say, okay, Houston Oilers select, Chris Sanders. So they couldn't really go to the podium because they were in a deep conversation. So I'm sitting with my ex-wife and my mom. And in the background, it says Houston Oilers take Chris Sanders. I said, okay, Mom, I just got drafted. She was like, stop lying. And my ex-wife, she's like, stop lying, whatever. Then all of a sudden it started blinking and it said current selection. And it says Houston Oilers select Chris Sanders. That's all she wrote, crying and screaming. And, I'm doing breakdancing moves I can't do anymore. I did all those things, but it was one of those moments that was surreal because dreaming as a young kid to do great things, dreaming as a young kid to get drafted in the NFL. And when it actually came to fruition, it was surreal. It was a dream come true.
Yeah. So now going into now as a rookie, going into the training camp, and what is your expectations and what is your mindset going into rookie mini camp, and what did you show to the coaches that got you to stick with the team?
And I usually never share this story, but I remember my receiver coach, his name is Lester. And the first person that I met coming in was him. And it was me and him in the parking lot. I'll never forget this. And he said this. He said, I prayed for you. I wanted to pick you, but the other coaching staff wanted to pick somebody else. And I turned into the Hulk. I tore off my shirt and turned green. I mean, I just got an edge. So when the first day of practice, I'm like, I will never get covered. But if I had to jump over 5 people to make a play, I'm going to do that. So I came in with an edge and I came in planning to start. And then, the second game of the season, I earned a starting position and that was all she wrote. And that's when I had a chance to stay in the league for 8 years. So, it was a transition, but I had an edge of, I'm coming here and I'm taking somebody's position. That's just what it was.
I call that the underdog story. Where I love these kind of stories on the show.
Oh yeah, you telling me I can't do it, and you telling me, well, they wanted somebody else. Are you serious? I mean, it was so crazy that I was making so many ridiculous catches and so many ridiculous plays that usually when the defense goes off the field, they're kind of sitting down. when I got on the field, the whole defense was watching on the sidelines, waiting for me to make a play. You know, I remember we were scrimmaging the Washington Redskins, and I'll never forget this. And I don't know why we did this, but we went for it on 4th and 26. And I'm like, why are we going for it on 4th and 26? I mean, it was just an exhibition game. It was, a preseason game. So I run about a 17-yard curl. And it was like 4 guys around me, and I jump up and I catch it, and I spin, and then I dive. I run a little bit and I dive for the first down. The whole defense was on the field. Wow. To be like, whoa, what the heck did we just draft? Because I earned their respect. And one guy that really helped me get to the next level in my being a receiver is Chris Dishman. I don't know if you remember Chris Dishman. And every day in one-on-one, he would always challenge me. He'd call me out every day. Come on out here, Ohio State. Come on out here, Ohio State. So I thought in my mind, if I can beat the best, because he was the best at that time, then I can beat anybody that steps in my way.
Wow.
Even Deion Sanders, I'm coming after you, mister.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were so obviously when you made the team and when you proved everyone wrong, what was the like experience like playing for one team? Because most of these players now these days don't spend their careers with one team; they move on. But for you, what was it like just to stay with one team and not move?
It just shows that you're pretty good. I mean, and I got cut in 2001 or 2 because of salary cap, and I went to Cleveland, and I came back and retired as a Titan. But it's an honor. It's an honor to to play for one team. My whole career, and that's what makes it so special because it feels good to be with have the relationship that you have with your players, like a Derek Mason and a Steve McNair and all those guys that got drafted with me. Derek Mason came the next year. But to have those same relationships for 7 and 8 years, it just makes it so special.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because I have your numbers pulled up here. You have over 177 receptions, over 3,000 receiving yards, receiving to over 17 receiving touchdowns. But you got some rushing yards in there.
I know. I get talked about that all the time. Negative 36.
Yeah. So what was it like when they put you in that position? Did you like it or was it kind of weird?
No, I ran it twice and then I lost 15 yards because I got hit and fell back 5 yards. So right when I got the ball in the reverse, I got hit. I couldn't even get a chance to get started. But that's funny because I was on the radio about a year ago and they brought up that stats and I just had to laugh because it's funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So what were some of these? What would you say? Your favorite cities that you played in, or favorite cities that you played in throughout your career?
I love playing against Baltimore. Their stadium was fun when I go against Ray Lewis, but also the environment with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though I don't like those guys, I'm still looking for Greg Lloyd because he hit me so hard and he was a mean guy. Yeah. But just those two stadiums in the rich tradition that they had, especially with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steel Curtain and all that stuff. But just playing in those two stadiums, made me feel like, man, this is what it's all about. I mean, I love those two stadiums. I love going against those guys. And it just made it so special because watching, Pittsburgh Steelers play in that stadium as a young kid and then actually get to play in the same stadium that legends played in, it just made me feel real, real good.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, so looking back at your career, how grateful are you that you got to play the game that you love, and also you did track and you had you put up some great numbers in your NFL career. How grateful are you to be in this position right now?
I'm very, very grateful. I give all honor to Christ, man, because, that's just me personally. But it just makes me feel good that, whatever you put your mind to, we say this all the time, whatever you put your mind to, your dreams can come true. And to actually go through trials and tribulations and go through adversity and go through pain and go through situations to where you wanted to quit. And all of a sudden in 1995, you get drafted. I mean, it's well worth it. Nobody really knows my story, but just like my first year when I was ineligible, I couldn't even have a locker room.
Oh, wow.
I had to put my I'm in the locker. I had to put my clothes by the coach's urinal. And I know that's kind of gross or anything, but just to go in there and put my bags there every day and wanting to give up but persevere through the process and then make it into the NFL. And not just making it into the NFL. My first 2 years, I led in yards per catch in the league twice. So a kid that went through trials and tribulations, a kid that went through to where he wanted to quit, to now a kid who's leading the NFL, and a kid that went to the Super Bowl in 1999. It's amazing.
Yeah. So describe to everyone what was it like playing in front of those fans in Houston, and then obviously transition to Tennessee
Okay.
Titans Oilers. What was it like playing in front of those fans?
Man, the fans are crazy. I think the most incredible time was when we had the Music City Miracle. And we had the Music City Miracle with Kevin Dyson, Frank Wycheck, and Lorenzo Neal. And when that situation happened, and the ref walked on the field, and he was getting ready to make the call, you can hear a pin drop.
Oh,
I mean, it was incredible. When they said, when he put his hands up and said touchdown, it sounded like a bomb went off. I
wow.
mean, it was, when I say it was crazy. And then after that, this is the coolest part is when I went home, I live in a cul-de-sac. There was about 150 people in my cul-de-sac congratulate me that we beat the Buffalo Bills. So, the fans are important. I thank God for the fans because they're the reason why we do it.
Hmm. So now transitioning after your career, now you cover the game, and obviously, what's it like seeing these young talented players now work on their game, and seeing the change in the NFL, and obviously, you gave some advice to former Tennessee receiver Kenny Bright. So
Mhm.
take me back to that, and what's it like working with him because he was a good receiver coming out of college.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a 4x1 relay. You want to pass the torch to these young guys. And when you have these young guys that are coming in the league, you want to mentor them. And I love helping these guys and help them understand not just the business side, but just also, understanding how to be a professional wide receiver. So, when you have a chance and you've done these things and you did some great things, it's an obligation to pass it down. So I look at these young guys, man, they're very athletic. They're very smart. They understand the game. They're students of the game. I mean, it's just amazing to see that the talent level is going up each year. I mean, if you look at the last 2 years, the receiver pool in the NFL has been incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, it just shows you guys are getting bigger, guys are getting faster, and guys are understanding the game more. So it just makes the game even fun and more exciting.
Hmm. So I want to ask you, obviously, obviously after your NFL career, and what have you been up to? Obviously, with last year, there was no sports, and we didn't know what's going to happen. And for you, what have you been doing from the past year, from last year to now? And what have you learned when the sports shut down and not knowing what we're gonna? What,
Oh, I actually coach in a private school. It's called Montgomery Bell Academy. So I've been coaching there for about 13, 14 years. And then during the day, I work as a counselor helping these kids through their problems. So, the transition was a little tough, but once I started getting into coaching and really help these kids, be, help them in receiver, but also help them in life. I mean, it's so rewarding. And I've been doing a lot of good things. I've been doing a lot of radio, a lot of TV.
yeah,
But right now, man, the sky's the limit of doing. We're about to do some great, 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 great stuff. It's just scratching the surface.
yeah. So, what advice would you give these young athletes and young kids that are trying to get to their goals? Not only sports, but like for example, broadcasting or TV or whatever they want to do. What advice would you give them?
Trust the process.
Hmm.
The process is not easy. When I went through the process in high school, when I went through the process in college, I went through the process in pros, it was tough. But if you bust through the process, there's a reward waiting for you right there. And I'm gonna share this with you. The year in 1992, the year I broke Jesse Owens' long jump record, that was a trying year because my first year I had to sit up. The second year I played the first game against Louisville, I caught my first pass. And then the next practice, I hurt my knee. So now I'm out for another year.
Wow.
But then I come back that same year and I break Jesse Owens' long jump record. But
Hmm.
what if I didn't trust the process? What if I stayed in the pit as opposed to getting at a pit and going to get your goals? I'm not saying it's easy, but you can do it. All it is a setback for a setup for something great. It's not that there's going to be days where you cry. There's going to be days where you want to give up. But if you keep your mind and your vision on the process and not where you're going to be, I'm telling you, you can do the miraculous, but you got to stay with the process.
Yeah, so now we do this fun little segment. It's called the rapid fire segment. But before we get to that, would you like to say anything to all the haters that doubted you right now?
No, I just want to say thank you. I mean, and I'm not saying it in a malicious way. Thank them. Thank this one coach for saying that I'll never amount to anything, and saying that I had ADD, which is great, and I forgive him. I'm not mad at him, but it propelled me into what I am today because I created an edge, not an edge of showing them, it's just an edge that, man, if I put my mind to it, I can do absolutely everything. You got to put the work in. Yeah, you put the work in. I trust God. That's my number one source. But at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter when anybody says that nobody controls my destiny but me.
Hmm. So you ready for this rapid fire segment?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I know you played in the Super Bowl. So take me back to that experience. What was that like? Obviously, the result didn't pan out, but what was it just like just to play in the Super Bowl?
It was crazy. I mean, I think my best memory was we had media day. When we had media day, there was like one camera in there, and all of a sudden they opened up the doors like 4,000 cameras, and I'm doing interviews from people from China, Australia, and we're just talking football. But that was a great memory. And then another memory I love is when I walked outside to do my I walked through the tunnel to do my warm up. Somebody screamed my name, and there's about 20 people with 81 jerseys on. I mean, I literally was like, I don't even want to play the game right now. Just want to stay up in the stands and hug you guys, because it was that rewarding to watch somebody having my jersey.
So obviously you got to play against Tara Owens in your career, and what was it like wearing the same jersey as him?
Who's that?
You played against Tara Owens, right? In your career?
Oh, Terrell Owens, yeah.
What was it like wearing the same jersey as him?
I watched. I know. I think I look better though.
Yeah.
But he's bigger. But I'm telling you, when I watched him, he came in 1996, I think.
Yeah.
Just watch him evolve into one of the greatest receivers of all time. And that dude's a competitor. He has an edge. And I know all his life, a lot of people tell me what he couldn't do. And that's where he is right now. But just watching him play and watching him have toughness and watch him in the Hall of Fame, I mean, it was a great sight to see.
So obviously, what was where were you at the day when the Titans made the trade for Julio Jones, and what was your reaction afterwards, after the trade?
Yeah, a couple of days ago, I had more hair, and I just pulled it out because I was so excited. But yeah, I think it's exciting for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they got two premier wide receivers on the same team. You got Julio Jones, you got A.J. Brown, and you got a running back in Henry, then you got a quarterback in Tannehill. You got an offensive line that's nasty. I mean, you got an offense that was good last year, but now you have an offense that has the potential to be great. So, when you add him, he just brings that extra fuel to the fire. It's kind of like barbecuing. You already have the fire going on. You add a little fuel to it, it makes the fire bigger. With adding Julio Jones, you just made the fire bigger. I mean, who are you going to stop? If you stop Julio, A.J. Brown's going to kill you. If you take the receivers out, Henry's going to kill you. If you try to load the box, Henry's going to kill you again, and it's going to be one-on-one on the outside. So it's just a good sight to see. It's just like in 1999 when the Rams beat us, the greatest show on turf. I mean, we can be the greatest show on grass. I think we have grass at Nissan Stadium, so we shall see.
Yeah, actually, I made a funny analogy when the trade happened. I posted on all my media formats saying it's the new big three in the NFL, and it reminded me of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie with the Nets. Derrick Henry's your Kyrie, A.J. Brown's your Durant, and Julio Jones is your Harden. That's like Tannehill has no excuses now with this.
Zero. I mean, me and you can play quarterback right now with the one-bar face mask from Joe Theismann. I mean, we throw it up, just throw it up. If they blitz, throw it up. That's it. Somebody's one of them guys gonna make the catch.
Yeah. So did you reach out to Julio after it happened, or
not yet? But I want to sit down and talk to him. Just congratulate him and welcome to the city. I know he's getting bombarded with so many things, but I'm just glad that he's here. A lot of people's excited. I mean, it's a buzz that we haven't had from the Tennessee Titans in a long time. It's all because of Julio.
So outside of breaking Jesse Owens' record, what would you say your most memorable track event was?
I think I ran the 100-meter dash, I ran the 200-meter dash, and I think one of my most memorable is when it was in 1995, and I was running 200-meter dash. Before that, I'll kind of take like third and fourth, whatever. So I'm going against world-class athlete Chris Nell was my teammate that was ranked in the world, and I'm going against a guy named Antoine Maybank who was ranked in the world. And we're all in the same heat. So the announcer was talking about everybody else, but they didn't say anything about me. But next thing you know, I come around the corner, I'm in like third place, and I slip up and win. And that was one of my most memorable, winning the Big Ten championships in the 200-meter dash.
What would you say your most memorable NFL game was?
We were playing the Kansas City Chiefs. It is third and 13. I didn't even know. I'm sorry, 4th and 14. And we needed a touchdown to tie the game, and I didn't even know it was 4th down. So I ran a post and I jumped over like 5 or 6 guys to make a touchdown to tie it up. So that's one of my most memorable plays in the NFL.
Wow. So speaking of receivers, who would you outside the Titans receivers? What would you say your most receiver that you like to watch now?
I like DK Metcalf because he's big and mean. He's a dog. Him. I like Odell Beckham. I like what's his name? Yeah, I'm gonna just go with those two. I like those guys.
DK Metcalf, he recently ran a track event too before.
Yeah, there's a difference between being fast and extra fast. He's fast now, don't get me wrong, but them dudes are really, really fast.
I'll put you on the spot right now. Who will win in the race, DK Metcalf or Tyreek Hill?
I think Tyreek Hill will beat him.
Yeah.
See, Tyreek Hill ran like 10-2. DJ Metcalf ran 10.3. That's a big difference. Still fast.
Yeah. Thoughts. Speaking of Odell, do you think obviously his time in Cleveland is not we expected, but do you think he'll come back stronger this year, or do you think he needs another change of scenery?
No, I think he loves Cleveland, especially with his relationship with Landry. I mean, they have a great relationship. So I know he got hurt last year, but if they can put it together with the defense that they have with Landry and him and Chubb, all those guys, man, that can be a dangerous defense. And then you add Clowney that's going to the Cleveland Browns. So they got a great defense. They're nasty. They got a smash mouth running game. They got some great receivers on the perimeter, kind of like the Tennessee Titans. So it's going to be interesting this year in the AFC South.
Yeah, so I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan, and
okay, interview's over. Sorry, I'm leaving.
I'm
just kidding.
Now, I want to ask you about CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. What do you think of those two receivers?
Oh, they're some dogs now. I mean, they can play. I mean, you got Gallup, who's a big physical receiver, and those guys are going to make plays. They're just going to get better. They're going to get Dak back from his injury last year, so they're primed and ready. You got Zeke Elliott in the backfield. That's potentially can be another threat also. So, I know Dallas Cowboys kind of struggled a little bit last year, but I think they're hungry to make a try to run in the NFC.
So what are your thoughts on this 17-game schedule? Do you like this new format?
I mean, it's okay. I mean, you have the risk of guys getting hurt. I mean, I know it's about money, whatever. But at the end of the day, your body can only take so much. And then you got to understand that when you go to the playoffs, there's a number one seed. Number one seed is only one that has a bye. Those other teams have to play. I mean, that's going to wear on your body. So, we shall see. So
I know you're coaching young kids now, but with the right opportunity comes for you, would you consider coaching in college or NFL?
I want to go to the NFL. The reason why I want to go to the NFL is I want to pass the torch that was passed to me with Les Steckel. Because the reason with Les Steckel and Sherman Smith, the reason why is because if those men wasn't in my life, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. They helped. Yeah, one of the coaches, Les Steckel, helped me be a great wide receiver and do all those things. But they helped me as a man. They helped me, make some decisions that I was going down the wrong road. I was doing great on the field, but my life sucked. And that's what I want to do when I get in the NFL. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass the torch to these next guys. I'm going to teach you how to be a great receiver, but most of all, I want to teach you how to be a great man. Because if I teach you how to be a great wide receiver, but I don't teach you how to be a great man, then I failed you. And that's why I want to get into the NFL, because when I get into the NFL, yeah, we're going to be the best route runners and we're going to be tough. We're going to be nasty. But I want you to translate that into your life. And when you translate that in your life, you don't just win on the field, you win outside the game.
So, so before we get to the last two things, I want to ask you, what was it like? What was it like just to fulfill your dream and get to where you're at, and now obviously continuing to cover the game, being still involved in the game? What's that been like for you?
I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's a great opportunity. I love talking about football on the radio and being a part of it. Because when I retired, I didn't want to do nothing with football. I don't want to coach. I don't want to talk about it because I've been around it so much. But to jump back full throttle into it, I mean, it's fun. I mean, I get to look at it from a different perspective. I get to, talk about football. It's funny because I'm a better receiver now than when I played, because I understand the game, I understand coverages, I understand technique, and understand how to take your game to a different level. So I enjoy doing it, and it's just the sky's the limit, and we're going to go get it.
Who do you have in the NBA Finals?
What's that?
Who do you have in the NBA Finals?
Man, I don't know. I don't watch too much basketball.
Oh, okay.
Basketball's all right. I'm a Denver Nuggets fan. Are they still in?
Yeah, they're still in. Yeah, but they're down 3-0 against Phoenix.
Okay, they're out of here. They're out of here. But I don't really watch too much basketball. I like I don't know. I like to watch what is that called? I like UFC.
UFC.
Okay. I like what else I like?
Boxing.
Women's softball. Boy, they get after it.
That Oklahoma City team.
Yeah, man, they get after it. I mean, the way they throw that ball is scary, but I love it.
Yeah. So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, and he's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George.
Okay.
You played with Eddie George, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So what was that actually? Yeah, what was that like being his teammate?
Man, and I'm not just saying this because we're on the air. He's probably the hardest working dude I've ever seen in my life. We were in Houston, and then when we came with the Tennessee Titans, we would have 2 days in the hot sun in Houston. I mean, it's like blazing. But after every practice, he would go lift weights and he'll run the hills, go lift weights and run the hills, because he wanted to be the best. And everything he did, without talking. He just worked hard, and that's why I have so much respect for him, and that's why he's going to transform that TSU team, because he's going to instill his DNA, his DNA that he has. He's going to inject in with his DNA, and you're going to see a transformation of a team, and not just a team, but a transition. I mean, a difference in their attitude.
Yeah, so he brought on Hugh Jackson on his staff, and
Yeah,
obviously we're part of the Hugh Jackson Foundation, and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community is safe and the kids stay safe. So I'll send you to the page so you can go check.
okay.
Mm-hmm. And the
Appreciate
last,
it.
yeah, no problem. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Yep. You know, it's funny because a lot of times we look at athletes and entertainers and all these people as heroes, but the people you just named are the true heroes. If you look at football players and all people in sports figures, all we can do is entertain. But I want to say that you guys are saving lives. And that's why I take my hat up to you and thank you for everything that you guys done. You're the true hero.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 817 with former track star who broke Jesse Owens' record, former NFL receiver Chris Sanders, who played in the Super Bowl with the Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers. Sorry, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. It's truly an honor. I'll be posting this on all social media formats, and we would like to have you back as a returning guest at some point so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work. And like I said, Tennessee Titans are on the rise. Julio Jones, the new toy there, and Ryan Tannehill, man, I'm drafting him, and I'm drafting him in the 4th round. So,
and then also too, I have a Facebook page where I do Facebook Live and I give encouraging words. So if anybody wants to get on that page, they're welcome to come see it. It's open to the public, and it's just an encouraging word every Wednesday at 1:30 Central Time. And if you want to be encouraged, you got to get on this.
Yeah. All right. Thank you again, and
appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, stay safe.
You too.
Thank you.